Trying to understand English grammar is like trying to solve a mystery. English grammar is irregular, contradictory, and confusing. Fortunately, though, you don't have to walk these dark streets of grammatical confusion by yourself. I'm English teacher Paul Duke, and on this show I'll be your grammar detective. Each week, we'll investigate communication crimes and suspicious sentences, context clues and example evidence. Together, we'll solve these English mysteries once and for all. Good evening, grammar gumshoes. Welcome to the show. I'm your humble host, English instructor and grammar detective Paul Duke. On this show, we investigate English grammar and try to solve your English mysteries. We're streaming tonight to you from Vancouver, Canada, live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch. So wherever you are and whichever platform you're on, welcome. Now, this evening's is no ordinary show. In fact, this is the 100th time I have streamed this show. Starting in September 2020, when we were all stuck in our homes because of the pandemic, I began this silly little live stream as a way of connecting to English learners and teachers around the world and helping them understand their English grammar a little better. And I hope in the last 3 years, in some small way, we've achieved that. This show has grown. It has evolved. It changed its name from Hard-Boiled English Live to the Grammar Detective Live, just for marketing considerations and discovery. But the focus has always remained the same, investigating the challenges and confusions of English grammar for your benefit. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you who have watched and supported this show. We've had some fascinating and inspiring guests, teachers, students, musicians, even puppets have joined this show. And to each and every one of you who have joined the show as a guest, it's been my honor to have you on here, and thank you. Now tonight, in a little while, we will be joined by my very first guest who ever appeared on this show, Mr. Anish Daya of On the Spot Language in Toronto, Canada. Together we'll maybe give you guys a quiz, we'll catch up with Anish and what he's doing these days, and have some fun. Well, as usual, to start, I'd love to hear from you guys and find out where you're watching from. So who's joining us so far? We have Stacy. Stacy's usually the first one on board, so welcome Stacy, hello. Let's see, who else is here? Maria's with us from Brazil, welcome. We have one of our longtime viewers and dedicated fans, Chris Derboven from Belgium. She's been watching from the very first show. We have Miss Pallavi from India. Hello and welcome to the show, Pallavi. We have Wako from Japan. Thank you very much, Wako, for all of your support. You know everything you've done. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. We have Maria Cristina with us. Yes, we have Maria Cristina with us. That's a different Maria. I thought I just saw a different Maria. Well, Maria da Gloria, I think, from Brazil. Welcome to the show. Anish is standing by and says, such an amazing moment. Super excited to join the 100th episode. Thank you very much, Anish. You were here from the beginning, and I appreciate your support and your being a guest. We have Guy with us. Welcome, Guy. And Guy is watching us from Costa Rica. Great. Anyone else that I've missed? Well, thank you for joining us, guys. Again, this is our 100th episode. Yes, 100 episodes in. Actually, to be honest with you, there's actually, I think, 102. But 2 of the episodes didn't record properly with my system, and so I deleted them and threw them in the garbage. But it's nice to know that we've managed to get through this, because there were a lot of times during this last 3 years where I wasn't sure if I could continue doing this show for various reasons. One of which was, once the spring weather and summer weather come to my city, it gets extremely hot. You might be surprised, because many of you may think Canada is a snowy winter place all year round. But actually that's not true. In the summers we have very hot weather, as hot as some of your countries maybe. And here in my home studio with the lights and the camera, it gets very hot. So I wasn't sure if I could continue doing this, but we managed to. So wherever you are, guys, if you're just joining the show, please say hello in the comments, and we'll get to work quickly. Now, in a couple minutes, I'm going to bring my guest on. And if you have any questions, grammar questions, put them in the chat box. And if we can't get through them tonight, or if they don't get answered tonight in the process of our quiz and so on, we'll do that next week for sure. Thank you, Anish. That's really nice. It's interesting because a lot of people have asked me why I put it on Friday night, because it might be inconvenient wherever they are in the world. But this word here is important, continuing to show up. To do this show, I have to put it at a time where I can continue to do it, because of course I'm the one putting it together. And I have to work all during the week with my private students. So Friday evening is really the only time for me. And the weekends I dedicate to other things. So Friday was really, in the end, the only time spot that I could host the show on while being able to effectively continue it. So we might call that sustainable. I've made it sustainable by Friday night. And of course, if you miss it, you can always see the recording on YouTube the following day when I post it there. But Friday evenings have been the most sustainable time for me to do this. Otherwise, I really couldn't have done this long. No other day would have worked for me. We have Wilson joining us from Ecuador. Wilson is a longtime viewer and friend of the show. He's actually been a guest of the show. So Wilson, thank you for joining us for this 100th episode. Great to have you with us, Wilson. Thank you, thank you. Here's a nice comment from Mr. Guy from Costa Rica. He says, I was watching part of Weirdness episode and enjoy watching the students, their actors. Thank you very much. I'm very proud of the work my student volunteers did in that series. So for those of you who don't know, he's talking about my web series, English Weirdness, which I believe I have a graphic here somewhere. It's on my YouTube channel, and there are 10 episodes. Each one is 30 minutes long, and each one features a little drama that sets up a miscommunication because of grammar, and then we go into an animated discussion and analysis of the grammar point. And the thing is, I made this series with my students. None of them knew how to make films except one guy who knows a lot about film. He helped me by operating the camera and helping with editing. But all the students you see in the episodes are just volunteers. They're not acting students, they were just English students. But they wanted to try something new to help get, develop their English. And you might be surprised that some of them were my shy students. They weren't necessarily the outgoing types, but I think they'd really acted well. So thank you for noticing, Guy. I really appreciate that. Okay, thank you, Guy, for watching those episodes. Really appreciate that. Someone also asked me recently, will there be more English weirdness episodes? That I'm not sure. Each episode cost a fair amount of money to produce, and we had a bit of financing behind us. Without something similar again, I don't think I can make any more. Thank you, Anish. Appreciate that. Okay, so Chris is in Belgium, in Europe, and I believe it's very late for Chris. So she stays awake late into the night to watch this show, sometimes 2, 3, 4 a.m., Chris? What time is it in Belgium now, Chris? Good question, Guy. Okay, verbs and gerunds. Yep, that's always a hot topic. We can certainly dive into that. Okay, everyone. So we want to see a dedicated viewer. This is Miss Chris Derboven in Belgium. It's now 2 a.m. and she stays awake to watch the show. I really appreciate that, Chris. Your dedicated viewership has meant a lot to me, so I appreciate that. Yeah, Guy says, I mean, they did very well, and I thought it was expensive, though. Yeah, there's some money involved in it, right? We have to buy software, we rented movie lights and cameras and stuff like that. That adds up. But you might be surprised to know that none of the staff were professionals, none of the actors, none of the technicians. They're all just volunteer students. The money was spent on renting equipment and software to do it. Yes, exactly. Now, Pallavi is a little sleepy because she's in India, a very late time zone. Pallavi, of course, you can watch the recording later. Thank you for joining us. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to bring on our guest who's been patiently waiting. I'd love to reintroduce you to my guest. If you have met him before, if you haven't, then you're in for a treat. He's an amazing guest, as always. And again, he was my first guest on the show. So it's a great pleasure and honor for me to welcome him back and thank him in person, well, on the show. And we're going to do a little segment together. And where is that? Yeah, okay, good. So Mr. Anish Daya runs a very, very innovative, different and unique English learning program in Toronto, Canada, where he brings his students into the city to experience not just the city, but experience the use of English language. So students aren't just studying English like regular schools, they're experiencing it, they're doing it, they're using their English. And he's had remarkable results. His students are fantastic. And we'll get him to catch up. We'll catch up with him in a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Anish Daya. Hi, Anish.
Hey, good to see you, Teacher Paul. Thank you so much for having me on the 100th show. What's up, everybody? Go! Yeah, yeah. All right.
Thank you. I think you joined me on show number 2 or 3.
Yeah,
Maybe, I can't remember, but one of the first 3, maybe 4 shows you were on it. You were my first guest at any rate. So thank you.
it's such an honor, honestly, Paul. From the moment I saw all your weirdness videos online and connecting with you online, I mean, over the pandemic when we were all feeling down and low and we connected, I mean, your live shows were like it was like a lifeline,
Oh, thank you.
especially for me at that time. And as some of these followers like Chris showed up, and Maki and all these other people from all over the world, and all these amazing guests and musicians showed up, I'm just like, oh my goodness, you've done such an amazing job of creating a safe and welcoming space for so many people. And that's something you should be super proud of.
Thank you, Anish. I am. And that was the intention, right? Before you and I met, the pandemic had shut down all the language schools in my country, my city and your city, I believe. And students were sent home to their families and their countries, and everyone was isolated, but including us teachers, right? Us teachers missed our students. We loved to be in the classroom or in the streets with our students, and suddenly we weren't, and we missed that. So I wanted this to be like exactly as you say, a safe, fun, encouraging space where we could get together again and keep learning our English, keep working together, keep helping each other, supporting each other. And for those of you who don't know, Anish had seen my video and connected with me online, and we became friends very quickly. And it was that kind of process that was very new to me, making friends online that I hadn't met before. But it really helped me get through the pandemic, having collaborations and things to work on and all those discussions we had. So I thank you. And of course, thank you for being my guest today again after all this time.
Absolutely. Excited to be here and excited to potentially bring back some familiar characters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, who's this? Are you Oscar? Is that really Oscar?
Hey, buddy, what's going on? You want to talk to Teacher Paul?
Hi there. How are you? Long time no see. I can't hear you. Do you have a sore throat? Have you lost your voice? Yeah, Oscar, there's something funny with your microphone. I'm not hearing when you speak. I heard Anish very clearly, but
Oh my goodness. Can you hear
does he
me
have a
okay now?
perfectly? Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
There we
I'm
go.
not sure.
Maybe he has a cold or something.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on today.
That's okay. It's
Oscar, you okay?
great to see Oscar. Wow, Oscar's voice is cutting in and out. I think he's really
Uh,
got a sore throat. That's
all
okay.
right, Oscar, we're going to have to say goodbye for now then.
Bye, Oscar.
All right. Well,
Amazing.
guess
So,
is that
Anish, now that the pandemic restrictions are lifted in our country, what have you been doing with your language program, on the spot language?
yeah, thank you
What's
so
the
much
latest?
for asking. So yeah, once the borders opened up and students can come back to Canada and Toronto, we've been again making the city our classroom, going out, having hundreds and thousands of conversations with strangers out on the streets of Toronto. And it feels like the students are a little bit tired of looking at a screen all day. And it's one thing when you're in your country and you can't live or travel or study abroad, but a lot of the students were itching just to get out and have
Yeah.
human connection, just like I was.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to take students outside again, and so many people were so welcoming. It was really, really, really nice to feel that people were okay to talk in person again.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting. So you found that not only were your students eager to meet people, the citizens of Toronto were, maybe they missed the international students too, right? Because they're a big part of our community in our cities.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, so many people, because we collaborate with different partners throughout the city, they're like, oh, you guys are back. It's so nice to see you again. You're going to order breakfast with us or order a coffee or tea with us. Yeah, we're back.
That's amazing. Anish, I have a question here from
Hmm,
one of our viewers
sure.
who's asking, is he from India?
Good
Are you
question.
from are you from India?
Well, actually, my ancestors are 100% from India in a province called Gujarat in the northwestern part of India. And but my parents were then they were indentured workers and went to my grandparents went to South Africa, and then my parents moved to Canada, and this is where I was born.
And what city? In Toronto or another city?
Good question. So actually, I was born in a city in Ontario called London, London, Ontario. And then I grew up in a province called Saskatchewan, and then moved back to Ontario. And now I've been in Toronto.
Ah, okay. So I'm not sure, Pallavi, what part of India are you in? Maybe you can share that with us.
Yeah, for sure.
So Guy says, so you are a Canadian.
I guess I am. I would consider myself a Canadian. My roots are Indian. If you ask my parents, they would say, we're Indian. Um, However, I would like to say that I am a global citizen, if that makes
I
sense.
like that. Yeah, I like that. I consider myself something similar because although I was born here, I didn't choose to be born here. So it's not an achievement of mine. It's something that I was thrown into. Now, it's not a bad country to be thrown into, but it's not my achievement, so I don't feel ownership over it. I feel more ownership over my actions in the world, in life. And a lot of those have been related to international things, working with people from around the world, dealing with language. So I consider myself a global citizen too. I don't feel like I necessarily belong here. I don't have to live here. I could live elsewhere, right? Canada's a nice country, but there's lots of nice countries in the world. And Canada's not perfect, right?
Very
We're
true.
a young country still growing up. We have problems to get through and things to improve, but I like it here. But there's a big, beautiful world out there, guys. We should share it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, having traveled to over 30 countries and learned multiple languages, I truly consider myself, like I said, a global citizen. And, um, you know, even just gaining some of that cultural intelligence and being culturally curious. So I like that Pallavi asked, so where are you? Maybe white or
Yeah.
Canadian in some people's eyes, but
Yeah.
you know, it's good that she's at least curious.
Yeah, absolutely. And she says she's from Eastern India. Okay, great.
Hey, oh,
Now you've visited India, haven't you?
I have. So I've been from Mumbai, and then I've been um, down south, all the way down to Goa and Kerala. And I've only been once. I'm actually the only person in my family who have ever gone to India. So no one currently alive has ever even really been. So it's quite an honor.
It's amazing. That's wonderful. Yeah. India's a big place. There must be
It
so
is.
much to see there. Amazing. So you've got students back in town now. Things are happening
Yeah.
with On the Spot again. What other kind of projects are you working on these days?
Thanks for asking. So I'm really excited that students are back in Toronto, and we've got actually a new program starting next week with some more students. And as for new projects going on, I've had a few teachers reach out to me and say, "Hey, Anish, I know you do this in Toronto. You take your students out and help them build confidence and talk to strangers and fail forward. So how could I run this kind of immersive program in my city?" And I remember I was talking to a good friend in Vancouver, who we know, Andrea, and we even had this conversation about something like, well, how would this work in
Yeah.
other cities around the world? So even if I were to go to Ecuador and want to learn Spanish, how could I take this immersive approach to
Yeah.
gain confidence to become a confident Spanish speaker?
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
such an
so the
innovative
next, sorry,
program.
thank you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's at a point now in my program where maybe I can teach other people, other educators, to do this in their city. How can they make their city their
Their
classroom?
classroom. Yeah. Fabulous. Hey, Anish, Guy is wondering about the puppet. Now, apparently, Oscar is a little bit sore in the throat and can't quite speak so well. But what can you tell me about the background of Oscar? Where's Oscar from?
So actually, originally, Oscar came from one of our good friends, Mr. James Marshall, who I believe is from, or he lives in Thailand, I think,
Lives in
right
Thailand.
now.
He's originally from Australia.
And he has these group of puppets, and they're called puppets,
Puppets.
Pubbets, puppets. And they are very cool. They have lots of personality, and they're fun to work with. So you might have seen, I call this young guy Oscar. But he has lots of relatives all over the world.
By Oscar. Yeah, maybe I'll put the link there, or maybe you can get the link into the chat thread, Anish, for puppets.
Sure.
I know, I know James is very busy with a whole new lineup of different character puppets, and he really loves when English teachers or any kind of teacher purchases them to use with the young kids who really love it.
Yeah, so I just put the link.
Great, thank you. Oh, and Chris is a teacher of the arts, fine arts in Belgium, and I think Chris has a puppet brother in Belgium. So these puppets are international. I wish we had more time to prepare for tonight's show. We could have invited Mr. James Marshall onto the show. He's always been a great guest
Yeah.
with some of his other characters.
Yeah. So you should be able to find the link below.
Yeah. So Pallavi is wondering if you made it, but Anish just explained it's from this company called Puppets. You can
Yeah.
buy all kinds of different kinds. And Wilson's saying something to you, Anish. He says, "Thank you for mentioning my country." He's from Ecuador, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Well,
So,
I'm just curious, very quickly.
yeah,
What would Guy say Ecuador is best known for?
good question, Wilson. Wilson, can you tell us what Ecuador is best known for?
Or sorry, Wilson right now. Where's Guy
Wilson,
from?
yeah. Guy is from Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. Okay.
But you know what? Let's make a little caption for that. What is your country known for?
Yeah. In for you too, Pallavi, in northeastern India, what province are you from and what's it best known for?
Okay. Wilson. Chocolate and coffee.
Chocolate
Yeah.
and coffee, right.
I've actually heard that the best chocolate beans come from Ecuador.
Now,
And of course, a lot of the coffee we drink in Canada comes from Ecuador or Brazil or Guatemala, maybe.
isn't Ecuador one of the top exporters of bananas?
It's a good question. I wonder.
I think so. And then the Galapagos Islands, are those in Ecuador as well? Thought so. The Galapagos
Yeah,
Islands?
I think so.
Huh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
so I've seen photographs of where Wilson lives, and it's quite beautiful and what's the word for it? The jungle is very close. It's very he's in the
Right.
Amazon.
The
It's
Amazon.
beautiful.
So cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Coffee beans. Wow.
So everybody out there, what's your country best known for? India, Brazil, Costa Rica? What's your country known for?
And while we're
What's our
waiting,
country known for?
I was just going to say, in terms of cities, Paul, what would you say Toronto is best known for?
Well, probably the Toronto Raptors basketball team now, because of course basketball is watched around the world. Yeah, I would say that at this point.
Yeah, and I would definitely say the sports teams. We have a bunch of
Yeah,
sports teams. So we have Canada's only baseball team with the Toronto Blue Jays.
yeah.
We do have a popular, not great, hockey team. Well, mind you, they're in the playoffs, so they're not doing too bad. The Toronto Maple Leafs, and of course the Toronto Raptors, and yeah,
And both the Raptors and the Blue Jays have been champions before. The Blue Jays 2 years in a row were World Series champions, and the Raptors were champions like 2018,
that's
2017.
right. The Raptors were 2019.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
that was a great run.
it was cool.
So Galapagos are they do belong to Ecuador.
All
But Chris
right,
says in Belgium, chocolates and beer. Yes, indeed.
right.
We have Bargain Betty joining us. Now, for those of you who don't remember
Ooh,
Bargain Betty lives on the moon. So, Bargain Betty, what is your country or your moon best known for? Ecuador has told us they're
ah,
best known for coffee and chocolate.
yeah.
Belgium best known for chocolate and beer. How about the moon?
Oh, the moon.
Bargain Betty from the moon.
Yeah.
What do you export from? Ah, okay, of course. Cheese.
Oh,
Of
cheese.
course.
Is it because
The
the cow
best cheese.
flies over the moon?
Yeah, right? The best cheese comes from the moon. We all know that,
Right,
all right?
absolutely.
Well,
Um,
Anish, I was wondering, do you want to
yeah,
play some games?
let's
Do you
do
feel like
this.
playing some games?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we have two games set up. We have multiple choice grammar questions with the articles, a focus on using articles. We also have a spin the wheel. Korea is best known for BTS. Wow. Okay. Stacy, are you a fan of BTS?
Mm.
Do you like BTS, Anish?
I know their music. I'm familiar with them. A lot of students watch them. I would also say, I mean, popular in Korea right now is this thing where they're eating. People are just watching people eat. It's called, mm, I can't remember what it's called, but basically people are eating and talking and people
And it's on
consume. It's
it's on
online.
TikTok or something? Okay.
It's on TikTok. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. But yeah, BTS, absolutely, definitely.
Pallavi says her state is the second largest tea producing state in India. It's also famous for sweet dishes. Oh, I love Indian sweets.
Yes. What's your
In my,
favorite Indian sweet? Is it
I don't want to be
jalebi
stupid.
or?
Yeah, that's what I like. I like those little round, sweet, almost like a donut, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Are they called gulab jamun?
Yeah.
Gulab jamun?
Gulab jamun. Gulab jamun. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but in Vancouver we had a shop called All India Sweets, and it was an Indian sweets buffet. You just come along with a plate and pile on the sweets. It's
That's
amazing.
awesome. Very cool.
We're lucky. Toronto's similar, but here we have a lot of great Indian restaurants because we have a large Indian community here. Guy says, I'm in Costa Rica. There are a big plantation of banana and pineapple, also coffee. My San Jose is the province. San Jose, Costa Rica. Great. Well, Pallavi is asking, do you like BTS? I have to be honest, I am not impressed. Maybe I'm just old, but it's not really what I like to listen to in music. I'm not a teenage girl, so the fact that the boys are cute doesn't do anything for me. I'm more of a fan of jazz music, Pallavi. But how about you, Anish? Do you like their music? Have you heard?
I think I like the dancing that they do. It's a lot of
Right.
dancing. And the moves are good. Bands, to be honest, kind of sound somewhat
Yeah.
similar-ish. I think I'm a little bit stuck in the 80s,
Yeah. You
to be
too.
honest. Yeah. You
Yeah.
too.
When I look at K-pop and J-pop, I really see the real star is the choreographer, right? Whoever designed the dancing and trained them in the
Right.
dancing. That's what really stands out. The music is quite commercial, kind of simple, poppy,
Hmm.
but the dancing is spectacular.
Agreed.
Okay,
Agreed.
let's get to our. Thank you for sharing your country information, everybody. Oh, Wilson says baklava sweet. Is it from India? Baklava? Is that
Baklava. I
India?
think that's Middle Eastern. It might be Ukrainian, isn't it?
Yeah.
Baklava?
Maybe Turkish?
Or Turkish. Sorry, Turkish.
Turkish?
Sorry, that's what I meant. Turkish. Right.
Turkish or
Yes.
Greek, maybe? That's funny. We don't usually have viewers from Turkey or Greece, although we had one person from Greece a few weeks ago.
Oh,
But I believe it's,
cool.
yeah.
I
Okay,
believe it is
let's
a
play a
Turkish
game.
cuisine. All right, let's go.
What do you think? Do you want to do the article grammar multiple choice or the wheel of fortune?
Let's jump into the Wheel of Fortune.
All right. Oh, Chris clarifies for us. Greek. Baklava is Greek. Great.
Oh,
Thank you, Chris. Okay, so what are we going to do here? The wheel is going to spin some sentences or questions, and then what do we do?
and then you're basically I am the live puppet. Whatever it lands on, I am going to ask a question, and somebody might answer the question,
Okay.
or I might have to do something crazy or ask an interesting question.
Sounds fantastic. Are you guys ready to? It's almost like
Uh,
Halloween trick or treating, isn't it?
we'll see how it goes.
Okay, let me just change our layout system here. I'm going to put it like that. Okay, so these are questions to ask strangers on a Friday night in Toronto. You can ask strangers, you can ask people in the viewing audience. Here we go, Anish. Are you ready?
All right.
And you tell me when to go and I'll go.
1, 2, 3, go! Ooh. So this is something that we love doing in our program, Teacher Paul, and this is complimenting someone.
Okay.
So let's see if we can get up and about here, and let's see if we can find someone. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I think I found someone here, Teacher Paul.
Okay.
All right, who do we got here? Oh, where is she? Oh, here's a special guest.
Oh, hi.
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi there. Anish is going to put you on the spot, I think.
Yes, I'm gonna take my headphones here,
Okay.
and I'm just curious, Mai. This T-shirt.
Okay.
I really like your T-shirt.
Thank you.
You mind if I ask where you got it? You mind if I ask where you got it? You mind if I ask where you got it?
Okay. I don't really remember. Sorry, but I got it as a present.
Ah, you got it as a present. Interesting. What T-shirt is it?
It's a Raptors on it. The logo on it.
Ah,
Toronto Raptors. Let's go. All right. Let's see if we can turn the
great.
camera around here. Is this any better? Does this help? Or does it change
That's good.
anything?
Yep.
Okay,
Perfect.
so this question, I really like your hoodie, or I really like your T-shirt, or I really like your frame. And then asking, you mind if I ask where you got it? You mind if I ask where you got it? Just means, where did you buy it? There you go.
Great. Excellent. Are you ready for another spin?
All right, let's do another spin.
Ah,
Ooh. Okay, everybody. This is where we need your help. I don't know how many languages we have in the chat today, but please type out, how do you say, I love you, in any language that you know? Please type that out. Type that out. How do you say, I love you? We want to get at least 10 languages. Who can help me out here? Let's go. Let's go. I love you. I love you. I love you. Let's see. Te amo in português. Não falo português. Eu te
great.
amo in português. Te quiero mucho. Ay, güey. Te quiero mucho. Oh my goodness. Okay, we got Portuguese, we got Spanish. Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Maria da Gloria. Okay, let's go. What else do we got? Korean say, 사랑해요, 사랑해요, 사랑해요. In Korean, beautiful. And let's see.
Here's the challenge for you.
Mein आपसे प्यार करता हूँ. Mein
Oh,
आपसे प्यार करता हूँ.
very
You can
nice.
hear this in many, many Bollywood Hindi songs. 100%.
How about this one? I believe it's Dutch and then French and then German.
Dutch and then French and then German.
Is this Dutch, German? Is this Dutch, French, and German, Chris? Or is this. I see
Whoa.
3 different languages here. What do we have here, Chris?
Ikovanjo. 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 Je t'aime. En français, on veut dire je t'aime beaucoup. I love you very much. Merci beaucoup. Ich liebe dich. Is that right?
That sounds German. Oh, here we
Ich
go.
liebe dich. Ich liebe dich.
I feel so smart. I was right.
German, yes.
Okay.
Now, my German pronunciation, I'm not sure about that. But thank you, Stacy, for saying 사랑해요 and te amo in Espanol. Very cool. So how many languages do we have? Dutch, French, German, Spanish. Korean, Hindi.
Portuguese.
I can't believe we don't have Japanese, Paul.
Yeah, maybe there's a shy Japanese viewer watching who can tell us how to say that in Japanese.
Oh my goodness. Mein sapne apse pyar karte hun. Ooh, I love you very much. Thank you, Pallavi. That's beautiful. I'm sure your pronunciation is much, much better than mine. Apologies. Yeah, I can't believe we don't have any Japanese person who can teach us I love you. Huh. Well,
Maybe that's how Japanese people say I love you, with silence. Maybe you and I, Anish, need to learn this, that Japanese express love not with words, but with actions.
ooh.
And maybe you and I need to
So
be attuned and observant of those actions.
good point, Teacher Paul. Yes. Sometimes
Maybe.
actions speak louder than words. So 100%.
Could be the case. But if there's a Japanese viewer in the audience, please share the actual words with us. Yeah. Maybe this is how it's done. I can't even do that.
Do the little heart thingy. Ta-da! There we go.
It's funny because when I was growing up, this meant like it's expensive.
It's
money.
expensive. Now it's like, I love you.
So
I
when I
love you, I
started
love you.
when I started seeing young students do that, I was like, what's expensive? What are you talking about? Okay, let's take another spin on the wheel.
All right, let's go.
Here we go.
Doo-doo-doo. Ooh, a good one. This is one of my favorite questions that I love going around Toronto and asking people. So who would you say is the most famous Canadian, was it basketball?
Yeah, basketball.
Yeah, basketball player. So who would you say is the most famous Canadian basketball player? Now, believe it or not, this player didn't play for the Toronto Raptors. Now,
Was it Anish?
well, it used to be Paul back in the day, I'm sure.
Back in the day. Now I can barely walk.
Now, I know this is all the different Raptors logos here that I just happen to be wearing today, but actually, one of the most famous Canadian basketball players would be Steve Nash.
Right.
Steve Nash. Now, currently, if anybody is watching the Warriors game going on right now, there's a player called Andrew Wiggins. And he currently plays for the Warriors, and he's been doing really, really well. They've desperately needed him and his contribution.
And he's from Toronto. He grew up in Toronto. And Nash grew up out in the West Coast in Victoria, I think.
That's right.
Or he played at the University of Victoria. I actually saw Steve Nash play in a high school game because a friend of mine attended a certain school here and he had graduated and he said, hey, you want to go to a basketball game at my alma mater, my high school? There's this great player on the other team. We should go watch it. We went there and saw him, and right away you could see how dominant he was.
Wow.
He was just a high school kid. Yeah, it was really
Very
interesting.
cool. So yeah, there's
Ready for another
spin on the wheel. Let's do one more.
Oh, we have a Japanese viewer who maybe can answer our question. Hi, Maki. Welcome, welcome.
Maki, how do you say I love you in Japanese? Onegaishimasu. How do you say?
Maki, we've been spinning the wheel of fortune and coming up with questions. And one of the questions was, how do you say I love you in your language? Can you help us out? We had a whole bunch of other languages tell us. but we didn't get someone to tell us how you say it in Japanese.
お願いします. Thank you. Cool. Let's see. あ、大好き。大好き。Nice.
大好き. Love
大
it.
好き。好きだよ。愛してる。Okay.
Great. Next spin. Here we go. Thank you, Maki.
ありがと
Here we go, folks. Next spin of the wheel.
う. Oh my
Oh!
goodness.
Incredible.
It must be a love fest because it's the 100th episode. Yeah.
It's the 100th episode. You mean it's the... Sorry, come back. It's the 100th episode. Big love fest. Maki, thank you for joining the show. Maki's going to be a guest in the near future show, so
Awesome.
hope so. So let's spin the wheel again, Anish.
Connect.
Yes, thank you for that. She's an amazing person who's doing amazing things with education. Oh, thank you, Maki, very much. Thank you for joining us. Okay, here's the next spin. Anish, are you ready?
Let's do it. Here we go. We could do this all night.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, another compliment. No. I love it. Hey, Paul, I really like your tie.
Oh, thank you very much.
Actually, can somebody type out a compliment for either myself or Teacher Paul in the comments? I really like your So what do you like? My beard, my glasses, my Paul's amazing stylish hat. Let's see, what do we got? Who's going to compliment us first? The first compliment. Who's going to compliment us?
We're feeling very self-conscious and worried that people don't like us, so we need compliments, please.
I really like your style and your sweet smile, Paul. Look at that. That's definitely directed at you.
Uh-oh.
I really like your enthusiasm. That's definitely you too.
No way. You are Mr. Enthusiasm.
My vow for your costume. Paul's detective costume looks like Inspector Gadget.
That's me. Inspector Grammar.
Inspector Grammar. Yes, sir. I love it. Oh my goodness. Such great compliments. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes. And then that follow-up is, you mind if I ask where you got it? So I actually got this shirt at the game 1 when the Raptors were playing the Warriors. In the finals. I went to the Raptors game and this was on the seat and I got the shirt.
That's great.
What about your hat?
I got this hat from a hat maker in California. You know, these kind of hats are not common these days. So manufacturers or companies that make them are pretty rare. It took some time to find it, but it was a company in California, in Los Angeles, whom I believe makes costumes for the movies, because this is the kind of thing you might see in a movie.
It's like a Dick Tracy kind of hat.
Yeah.
Love it. Very
I really like your hat, Mr. Paul. Thank you, Wilson.
Hey, look at that. I really like your connection, guys. Ooh, Maria with the throwdown compliment. I love it.
That's nice.
You mind if I ask where you got it? Well, we got it from connecting online many times, and we got to meet Maria. We actually got to meet one time in person when Paul came to Toronto.
That's right. That was wonderful. We had never met, but we've been friends online, and we met for lunch once in Toronto. It was great.
Absolutely. Should we do one more spin? Do we have time?
Oh, yeah. Did we miss this one? No, we got that. Thank you, Maria. Very nice of you. Okay, another spin. Here we go. Let's hope it's a new question.
Oh, I really like your frame. Frame. Yes. Ooh. What's one thing that you'd like to learn about? What's one thing? Well, we learned a little bit about Ecuador.
Yep,
We learned
coffee and
about
chocolate.
Belgium. We learned about, I'm not sure where Pallavi is from, northeastern India. What did Pallavi say her hometown is best known for? Oh,
Tea.
no. Tea,
Producing.
right.
Yeah.
Tea. Wilson also mentioned about Greece, I guess, baklava.
Baklava, yeah.
Yeah.
A Greek dessert.
Yeah, what's one thing you'd like to learn? What's one thing that you guys would like to learn about Canada or Teacher Paul or me, Anish? What's one thing you'd like to learn about us? Let's see. Ask us anything. Anything. Let's go. Type, 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 type. Let's see who's going to be the first person to type. What's one thing, a question about Teacher Paul? Oh, he's got the nice Canada flag. All right, cool. What's one thing you'd like to learn about us? Let's see if we can get a question here. Who's going to be the first person to ask? Why do people move to the West Coast or the East Coast or to Toronto or Vancouver? Well, a lot of people move here because many in Toronto, because there are a lot of headquarters here, main offices here. It's a big city. It's very multicultural. So you can find your community and amazing food. What about Vancouver?
Well, people move from Vancouver to other places. You know, guys, Canada's a huge country, but we basically have, 3, 4, 5 big cities where all the work and education is. So a lot of people come to the big cities for work or education to live. And often after school, they'll move to another city to work in the business they want to. So Vancouver is on the West Coast. We have different industries than Toronto does. So if, for example, someone wants to work in finance or banking or business, but they grew up in Vancouver, that business here is pretty small. They may want to move to Toronto. Or if someone likes to work in the outdoor businesses like skiing and sports and recreation, they may move to Vancouver.
Oh, right. Absolutely. I think a lot of Canadians say, ooh, I'd love to retire on the West Coast or in Vancouver, but it's a little bit, I love you.
Lovely expensive.
Lovely expensive. Exactly. Oh, that's an interesting question. Somebody asked, Anish, do you do presentations in public? Well, actually, I am a public speaker and have given some presentations across the globe. In London, I was there last year. I'm going to be in Paris speaking this year. I've been in some speech competitions that I was in last year. So feel free to check out some of my videos and presentations or talks. You can check them out on our On the Spot Language YouTube channel. But great question. Thank you.
How many official languages does Canada have?
Well, now the vast majority, most of Canada, people speak English. That being said, I believe we have two. We have two official languages, English and le français, French.
Yeah. But it's interesting because those are official in terms of the government, and the regulation to have English and French on all the labels. However, that doesn't mean French is the most common language here other than English. There are lots of languages spoken here, including different Indian languages, different Asian languages. A lot of people here from different language categories. And as their numbers increase, which is wonderful, they're probably going to be more of those languages than French.
Absolutely.
Here's another question for you.
Yeah.
It's not really a question, but it's a statement from Stacy. I want my country to learn diversity from Toronto. Stacy, have you been to Toronto? Well, Toronto and Vancouver are very diverse places. Lots of different cultures here.
Very true.
Which, let's look at this question, Anish.
Yeah. Ooh.
What's the best place for learning English in Canada?
I would say, and I'm not gonna lie, I would say it wouldn't, well, other than maybe Quebec, where it's mostly French, I would say it's all about your approach as opposed to the physical location. If you have the motivation and the confidence to get out and talk to strangers and talk to people and get out of your comfort zone, it really doesn't matter where you are. It's all about your willingness and your motivation to get out of your comfort zone and use the language and connect with people and have fun doing it, even in your country.
This is an interesting question, Anish. Maki's asking, do Canadians say, I'm sorry a lot? I read an article about Canadians saying, I'm sorry a lot. What do you think? I have an opinion about this.
I hear it a lot. I think we naturally, if I bump into someone, hey, sorry, man, sorry about that, or just sorry about, like, it's, I know in Japanese culture, it's a lot of, they say a lot sorry as well.
Sure.
And I think here, yeah, I mean, we do say sorry a lot. And I think it's just very casually done when you maybe bump into someone, or sorry, I'm late, or, but I don't know how deep that sorry is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love for you to break it down.
Well, I think this is kind of a stereotype, probably from Americans who don't say sorry at all sometimes. So maybe from their point of view, we say it a lot, but from the Japanese point of view, Maki, I think we probably say sorry when we do something wrong or we do something impolite or accidentally bump someone, as Anish says. I think most polite people would say, I'm sorry, or excuse me. So it's not like we walk around the streets going, look at the bird. Oh, sorry. Sorry. We're not saying it for no reason.
Right.
I don't say I'm sorry 100 times a day, right? I say I'm sorry if I do something stupid or impolite or rude or invade someone's privacy for some accidental reason. Then I'll say I'm sorry. But
true.
So I don't think we say it a lot. You know, how many times a day does a Japanese person say sumimasen, shitsurei shimasu? You know, if you feel like you've been an imposition or inconveniencing someone, you'll say, I'm sorry. So I wonder about this. I think it's a stereotype. I think it's probably from people who don't say sorry at all being surprised. Wow, you're saying I'm sorry.
Right. That's a great point.
So like a lot of things, Maki, I would say, think about who wrote the article.
Right. Absolutely.
And what does a lot mean?
Right.
I don't
We got
know.
another question here, Paul. Maybe one
Okay,
of the last ones before we head out. What's your favorite Canadian food? Do we actually have Canadian food? I know we have some traditional food from like Quebec, like poutine, which is cheese curd, fries, and gravy. Stacy was asking, what's your favorite Canadian food?
Sushi.
Sushi. There you go. Good answer. Sushi. Yes. I think You could say any food from any country here in Canada
Yeah.
could be your favorite food because I don't know if we have traditional Canadian dishes or not. Hmm.
I think it's a great question that a lot of people from outside the country ask because they come from countries and cultures that are very old and they've had a lot of time to develop a cuisine based on local ingredients. For example, in Korea or Japan, there's a very
Mm,
distinct cuisine there. But Canada's a very young country, everyone. It's 150-ish years old. We haven't had a
absolutely.
lot of time to develop a distinct culture. And by the way, while growing up, Canada has become multicultural. So people like Anish and myself probably eat Japanese food several times a week, Indian food several times a week. I just had Indian food the other day. I eat Korean food, I eat Vietnamese food, I eat Greek food, I eat Mexican food, Latin American food, Brazilian
Right.
food. I eat everything. But Chris has a good point here. Lobster is a seafood that grows naturally on the East Coast waters.
East Coast,
And
right?
so it's a big part of Canadian food, has been for the 100 years.
Mm,
So, yeah, we don't have an old traditional cuisine here. We are developing it, but it's a mix of all these other cultures that participate.
hmm.
Here's a question from Berta.
Ooh,
What do you think about this
Berta.
one?
Ooh, what do you think is the best thing Canada should be best known for? Hmm. I would
What do you
say
think?
when we tend to travel or go abroad, generally, we're pretty friendly.
Yeah,
We're not saying, "Oh, I'm the best" or "I'm better than you," or
right.
it's. I think if there's like an Australian or a British person or people from all over the world, I feel because we're so used to the diversity here that when
Yeah,
we do travel abroad, we can either connect with people culturally or there isn't so much of a judgment as much or I feel like it's easier to connect with people from my experience.
yeah, I would agree. I would take a slightly different angle, though. I would say what
Mm,
Canada should be best known for is our multiculturalism. Because for the most part, in our country, especially in our cities, we have all these different cultures and ideas and philosophies and belief systems living peacefully together, right? You and I, Anish, grew up with friends from all different cultures. And as children, we learn and exchange our cultural backgrounds from our families and learn about each other's culture. And so it's not strange and weird and other. It's part of our life. And I think that's a great model for the rest of the world as the world becomes more intermingled and globalized. Here is a good question.
mm.
Is Tim Hortons better than Starbucks?
I think I don't even know if they should be compared
Yeah,
because in Starbucks you can get a macchiato and a frappuccino and all of these other unique sugary sweet drinks with whipped cream, and whereas I think Tim Hortons is maybe best known for their coffee or their donuts.
right.
Um,
Yeah, it was originally a chain of donut restaurants, right?
right,
With coffee. And now it's
exactly.
focused more on coffee. I think, Maria, it's also worth noting in both Tim Hortons and Starbucks case, none of the beans come from Canada or the US. They're all from Brazil, from Ecuador, from
Right.
Guatemala, Honduras, Indonesia, Hawaii, Jamaica. All the beans
Mm,
are imported here. So
mm.
whichever coffee shop you go to, you're still drinking coffee from another country, probably from one of your countries. So I don't know. I usually don't drink
Hmm.
either of them. Usually I make my own coffee. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I like my ground coffee too, but yeah, it's
Hmm.
usually not Tim Hortons, but we do take our students there and get a double double
Yes.
or a French vanilla or a chocolate milk with a little bit of whipped cream.
Do you happen
But
to
yeah,
know the history of Tim Horton, Anish? Could you share the history of Tim Horton?
Interestingly enough, yeah, Tim Hortons, the coffee shop, was named after a hockey player named Tim Horton, who used to play for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And he actually started the coffee shop with his mother.
Amazing. Here's an interesting observation from Stacy. I heard Canadian men are very nice to women. People say they are smart and kind, like golden retrievers. What do you think about that?
That's Stacy. I'm impressed with the writing. First, that's great.
Yeah.
Smart and kind, like golden retrievers. That's just such an awesome comment.
Yeah.
Kind and nice to women. I would think not just women, but men. I think regardless of your sex or sexual orientation, I think, like you said, we're kind in general. As opposed as when you think about directly, if we're kind to women, what would you say there, Paul?
Well, I think yes, we are nice to women because it's important to be nice to women. Our society doesn't have status levels the way other cultures might. We have a more of an equal society, and certainly in law, women have absolutely every legal right that men have. And for the most part, it's not perfect yet. Women have a lot of power here. They have a lot of equality. So if a man behaves badly towards a woman, they're not going to have a girlfriend or a wife. They're just not. A woman doesn't need to put up with that. So men here grow up learning that you don't have any kind of special status over women here, so you better act right. You better treat women equally, with respect, with kindness. Golden retrievers, though, I don't know. I don't usually feel like I'm a dog. Even a nice dog like golden retriever. I would also say that, yes, let's say in general, men are very nice to women here. Men are usually very smart and kind. But I wouldn't want to create the impression that we're like weak or subservient or like trained dogs. I don't think it goes that far. I think Canadian men are also very strong. But strength doesn't mean being mean to women, right?
Absolutely. Well put. Well put.
It's hard for us to say, though, because we're Canadian men. So we would have to let women make a comment about us. I think you're a very kind gentleman and you're very smart, Anish.
Right back at you, my friend. I think generally, I think whatever energy you put out there to the world, man, woman, teacher, mother, father, son, daughter, you get that energy back. And so generally put more human kindness out there, and hopefully you all can spread more love and human kindness where you are in Ecuador or Costa Rica or Korea or India or Belgium, wherever you are. Spread more love and spread more human kindness.
Well put. Anish, can you stay for one more spin?
Sure, let's do one more spin. All right.
Okay. Let's hope it's a new question. Here we go.
All right.
It's very late where you are, so I don't want to keep you up all night.
Ooh, tell me one thing.
That's kind of similar, isn't it?
Right, it is. Let's do one more.
Okay.
We did. We should ask
Extra
you guys.
spin. Bonus spin.
Right.
Ah.
Aha. Who would you say is the most famous Canadian baseball player? Ooh.
Jeez.
I'm gonna let you tackle this one.
Gosh. It's funny because I don't think there are a lot of famous Canadian baseball players. Unlike hockey or even basketball now, I don't think we produce a lot of great Canadian baseball players. There was one guy from out here named Larry something who made it to the Hall of Fame. He played in the 90s. He was a big slugger. Can't remember his name. I'm stumped. There are players that play in Canada on the baseball team, Blue Jays, in Toronto, but most of them are American or Japanese or from Latin America.
Latin America, right.
So I don't
I'm
know.
not gonna lie. I know one.
Okay.
His name was Larry Walker. He played for the Colorado Rockies.
That's the one I'm thinking of, Larry Walker. He came from Maple Ridge out here.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And he went to the Hall of Fame, right? He had a great career.
Correct. Yeah. So Larry Walker.
Larry Walker, yeah. I think he's the only one I can think of. Wow.
I could Google it, but there's Joey Votto, Justin Morneau. Yeah, I don't know a lot, but yeah.
Oh
Larry
yeah, Justin
Walker.
Morneau had a good career, didn't he?
Good one. Yeah. So there you go.
Anish, we've spun, we've chatted, we've caught up.
Yeah.
I want to thank you once again, Anish, for joining me on our 100.
100.
Stay there. 100th show.
Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to the lovely stranger you interrogated on the streets in your investigation.
And stay tuned, everyone. There's going to be a future episode next month where we're actually going to be out with our students, and we're going to do a live grammar detective on the spot. We're going to ask some strangers, some Canadians, some questions. It's going to be so much fun. Looking forward to it.
Why don't we call that segment?
Ta-da!
That will be really fun. That would be really fun. So something to look forward to. Everyone will have Anish back, and he'll be doing on-the-spot inquiries out in the street with his students. Great.
And you might even be able to get to ask me a question to ask strangers. So let's see.
Perfect.
Congratulations again, Paul. Much love to you.
Thank you.
All of your fans out there. Thank you, everyone, for showing up week in and week out. 100 episodes. I mean,
it's pretty amazing.
This is amazing. Truly
amazing. It is crazy, isn't it? Okay, Anish, thank you very much. Have a lovely night and a great weekend in Toronto.
Signing off.
Bye-bye. Yes, Chris, thank you. Stacy, thank you. I'm sure it'll be really great. Thank you, Maria. So, guys, I'm going to sign off now. It's been a wonderful show. Catching up with my very first guest in the history of this show was Anish, and that's 3 years ago. 100 episodes back, he joined me as my first guest. It was great to have him back and catch up with him and see what he's doing. But most of all, I want to say thank you to you guys, because you guys coming here and joining me every week allows me to get excited about doing this show every week. It's not easy. It's a hard show to put together. It takes time. It costs money. It takes a lot of effort and planning and thinking. And I'll do it as long as you want me to do it. I'll do it as long as there are people who enjoy it and get some benefit from it. I've really loved answering your grammar questions for the last 100 episodes. It's been my honor and a great pleasure. And to all the people out there who have been my guest on this show, it will be wonderful to have you back another time. Guy, yes, I see you. Okay, so thank you, Pallavi. I do not see you, Guy. I see your comment, but I don't see you. Thank you very much, Chris. Chris was one of our very first viewers. In fact, she viewed the very first show. Thank you, Chris, for always making such an effort, staying up late watching. Pallavi also stays up late to watch. Really appreciate that. I'm going to say goodnight, everybody. It's getting late here, and it's time for me to get going. Thank you for watching the show. Thank you for having Anish with us again. Until I see you next Friday, I want you to stay healthy, take care of yourselves, keep learning English, and as always, guys, stay cool, okay? Thanks for watching tonight's show. If you have an English grammar question, an English mystery, contact me on social media and send me a video of you asking the question. I'll investigate it on a future show. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button to get all the updates about videos and events. If you're feeling generous, you can also donate to the production costs of the show at Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee. Finally, until the next time I see you on Hardboiled English Live, I want you to keep learning English. Stay healthy and stay cool.